All right. Um, you guys know me, William Ware, the Florida Mortgage Caddy, and I'm here with one of my old high school friends turned recent client, buying his first home with his VA loan. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey everybody, I'm Tyler. Like Will said, we went to high school together. Been good friends for about 10 years now. So happy you could help me out.
Yeah. So just to get started, can you tell everybody a little bit about, a little bit more about our background and how we both kind of follow the same path into the Army Reserve after high school, even though we kind of ended up in different directions?
hmm Yeah, for sure. Like I said, we went to high school together. We actually had the same recruiter, Sergeant Torado. So that was pretty cool. We just both went reserves. I went the truck driving route. You went the intel route. So, you know, you're a little bit smarter than I, but
It's a title, not a prerequisite. So.
yeah. But yeah, just been friends since high school, and then we both had similar interests. So
Yeah, awesome. So after that, we've been graduated from high school for six years,
yeah.
almost seven now. What made you remember me when you were thinking about buying a house? Just in general, even though you already work with somebody else, what made
hmm
you think about me and transition to working with me?
Yeah, the videos that you do on social media, definitely I was like, oh, okay, he's doing what I'm looking for somebody to do for me.
Yeah,
So saw the video, saw you posting on Facebook, and decided to give you a shout.
awesome, cool. So I kind of alluded to it already, but you spent about, what was it, about 6 months working with another lender. That was kind of a painful time and a lot of back and forth.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through a little bit about what was going on there, what kind of issues you kept running into with them?
So pretty much, I was working with him for a while there. It would be one thing after another, pretty much. She would ask me for something, I would give it to her, then she'd say it wasn't enough, she needed more, bunch of stuff like that. I actually ended up needing my mom to co-sign because she said I didn't make enough money. And then when my mom co-signed, she said that still wasn't enough. So it was just a bunch of back and forth, empty promises saying, "Oh, if you do this, we'll make it happen." And it just never happened with her. So
Hmm. Okay. So how did that affect your plans for buying a home? I know you kind of ended up having to rush into a lease, right?
yeah, yeah. So I was hoping this was all probably a year ago now when this all happened, trying to get it all started and finalized and getting everything going. I let her know my timeline, like, hey, my lease is up in the house I'm renting now. It's up in April. That gives us 5 or 6 months to figure this out,
Hmm.
get the ball rolling. And she's like, yeah, we can make that happen. And then come March, still no movement, no nothing. So I had to find another lease to get into so I could have a place to live, hoping that I was going to have a home to live in. But it turned out it's having to have a lease instead.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe it might have worked out pretty well for you in the end.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely, definitely a big win for sure.
um, and then, so what was like the exact moment or situation that made you think that process and that lender was just getting ridiculous?
Yeah, so pretty much during the whole apartment search, went from looking for houses and then to looking for apartments. I was like, man, what am I doing? Like, is actually we went and we toured the apartment that we ended up getting the lease with, and I was in the parking lot and I texted you. I was like, man, I know that this is what you're doing. The person I'm working with now is not doing anything for me, and I kind of told you everything that was going on,
Hmm.
and then we got the ball rolling.
Awesome. Yeah. Cool. So like you said, you saw my videos and stuff and reached out. Um, I mean, it's probably a pretty obvious question, but what were you hoping would be different, this time trying to get approved
hmm
for a home loan versus your previous experience?
Yeah, the communication that the lender I was working with, there was no communication. I would have to reach out to her, say, "Hey, what are we waiting on? What are we doing?" So that was the biggest thing that I was hoping would be different. And I saw from your videos and stuff that you communicate and you're open about what you do and you know what you're doing. So
Okay. So with that being said, then, um, how did that first conversation that we had feel compared to the conversations you were having?
mhm.
Um,
Yeah, it felt a lot better, man. I told you everything that I told her, told you everything that I was going through with her. And, I gave you the numbers, the exact same numbers that I gave her. And you're like, no, we can make that happen. I don't know what the issue is.
Hmm.
So, that was definitely like, oh, wow, okay, this is awesome. You know,
Awesome. Cool. Well, I'm glad we could help there. Um, so once we started working through everything, what was the biggest surprise about like the entire process for you once you actually got through the whole thing?
yeah, probably honestly how quick it went.
Yeah.
It went really quick. I had everybody telling me, oh man, you're going to have to finish out, extend your lease, do this, that, and the other. And I was like, Will told me it was going to be like 30 days, I'd
Hmm.
be cooking.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty big surprise.
Okay. And just for the record, we ended up doing it in what was like 17 days
Yeah, 17.
from contract to closing. So
Yeah.
pretty quick. Um, and then so at what point did you finally feel like you were headed in the right direction with the process?
Um, Honestly, probably from the beginning, you know what I mean? The difference was night and day between you and the previous lender. She was giving me the runaround. You were straightforward, told me, hey,
Mhm.
this is what we need to have happen, made it happen, and everything was going.
Awesome. Great. Um, so the biggest problem we had, I'm sure you can agree, was the appraisal when it came in low, a couple of days before closing.
Yeah.
So kind of what were you thinking when that happened?
I was, I was upset because I was like, man, we're gonna have to go back to contract, renegotiate everything, and it's gonna take even longer now. But
Mhm.
the appraisal came in. I think it was what, the day before we closed or 2 days before.
2 days, yeah.
Yeah. So then it came in. What was it? 7,000 under.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
had to rework some numbers there. But even with that same night that happened, me and you were on the phone with my
Yeah.
realtor and everybody else, the whole team, figuring out what we needed to do,
Mhm.
and then we closed a couple days later. Still.
Yeah.
So.
So with that being said, how confident did you feel in the plan that we had put together in that conversation after the appraisal came in?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty confident. You gave it to me straight. This is what, if you do this is what's going to happen. You do this is what'll happen. So we made the choice, and then we went with it and made everything happen. So.
Awesome. Okay. And then so once you were finally closed, finally had the keys to your house, what was the best part?
I mean, for me, I've always hated renting. So the best
Yeah.
part was just that feeling of like, man, okay, this is mine. I can do whatever I want to it.
Yeah.
I don't have to ask permission to paint the wall. I don't have to permission to put a hole in the wall. You know what I mean?
Well,
So,
you got to ask your
well,
old lady permission.
well, yeah.
So.
You're not wrong there. So,
So cool. So now that you've been here for almost about a month
about a
now,
month. Yeah.
what do you love most about the home now that you've settled in?
It's honestly just a really nice home. We're still doing some finishing touches, unpacking all this other stuff. So it's a lot better than anything I've ever been in before. Everything I ever thought I'd be in.
Mhm.
So it's definitely a big step up.
Cool. Awesome. And then if you were talking to another veteran out there that's just starting their journey, what's one thing that you wish somebody had told you from the get-go?
I would honestly say just know your people. You know what I mean? I went with another lender that was recommended to me. I didn't know her well, and we saw where that went. I reached out to you. We've been friends for a while, and even if we weren't, you were right there with me because we hadn't talked in a while before. And now we're friends again. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We're closer. So,
Mhm.
just know your people and know who's got your back.
Awesome. And why do you think choosing the right lender early matters as much as it does?
I mean, for obvious reasons, if I would have had the right lender when I first started the process, I could have been here a year ago.
Mhm.
Now a year later and I'm here. So, destination, not the journey, I guess. But, if you get with the right person to begin, then, you'll be good.
Awesome. Um, so if you were able to sum up your whole journey in one sentence, and what would it be?
Ooh, okay. Long but worth it.
Yeah.
Short and sweet.
Okay. Cool. And then, um, How do you think our younger high school selves would feel about seeing us on camera doing this interview right now?
I think they'd be surprised, man.
Yeah.
I don't think either of us knew that this is where we'd be 6 or 7 years later,
Yeah.
you know? So definitely worked out in the long run, I'd say.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, I appreciate you taking the time to do this interview to let others know what it's like working with me and my company. And I'm glad that you were able to get the result you wanted, and that I was able to help facilitate that. So
Yes, sir.
appreciate you reaching out and trusting me through your process. So
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you and everything you did, man. Definitely a big help.
awesome. All right. Well, that's it for this interview. So you guys like, follow, comment, reach out if you're looking to buy, refinance, anything like that. I'm your guy.
Yes, he is.
Bad lender, wild detours, and solid finish. Veterans deserve better. Now on to the next win.